Good morning, good afternoon, and evening, baseball fans. Welcome back to Barstool Baseball. It's Wednesday. It's Carl, and as always, I'm joined by Chris Klemmer. This is a special edition. Congratulations to the Jets on being 1-0, even though you predicted Aaron Rodgers would tear his Achilles.
Did not predict that. I simply was talking about something that happened in the past with another old Jets fan like myself. Me and Kevin were just talking. So all that was reminiscing. It was not predicting anything. I did not. If I predicted, I wouldn't have been as surprised as I was.
You're on a heater. You're an absolute. I'm terrified of you. I don't even know if I'm going to show with you right now.
Terrified of myself.
Yeah. Dangerous game, man. Hey, guys. This is actually really a special edition because my buddy Vinnie Pasquantino from the Royals is going to join us for a conversation. He's a diehard Jets fan, a huge Stoley friend of the program. You've seen his vlogs before. I don't want to get too long-winded in the intro. It's just a nice, solid, old-fashioned 45-minute conversation with a big leaguer. Not really that topical this week, or kind of inside the experience of young big league stuff, I guess. Or
yeah, I think it's just more like the stuff I took away from it was like what it's like to be a major leaguer, and I think it's like not. Yeah, we don't. It's very much just like what is it like, and I think I learned a lot talking with him just about the day to day, what it's like being young major league baseball player, and it was really interesting.
Do I have to do some introductions off the top? Obviously, Vinny doesn't need much. He plays for the fucking Royals. But do you know Klemmer? Klemmer slings baseball takes on here.
Yeah, not personally, but one time I saw, I guess he missed a bet for the Royals and he blew up our manager on Twitter. I saw that one time. So I saw that. He's not a very good gambler, I don't think.
I'm ice cold right now. I mean, I am frigid. Just giant ice cubes. It's a disaster. It is.
Well, you're hot because you predicted an Achilles injury last night before the game. So that was a pretty good take.
That's a lie. So I was simply talking about past ghosts from the Jets. Vinnie Pasquantino, 1999, blew out his Achilles the first quarter. I was just talking to KF, just two old Jets fans talking. And that has now become me predicting this horrible tragedy has befallen our Jets. This is a disaster.
Yes. I got to meet Vinny. Vinny's the reason that I'm a Jets fan, and I got to meet him. I sent a picture to Carl last night of it. I think I sent you that picture, but yeah, I got to meet him. So that was pretty cool. I didn't realize it was 24 years anniversary of when he also tore his Achilles. So it doesn't feel like the smartest move in hindsight to just go ahead and celebrate that on the night that you start with a new QB.
A lot of bad juju on this podcast off the top here. Even though the Jets won, my Bears got smashed. This is a baseball show, but I should say off the top, Klemmer and Vinny are diehard Jets fans. It's what brings us together here today, because I was watching the game, I was fucking thinking, I was like, man, it'd be great to get some quick Jets reactions. You guys are 1-0.
We are, and I'll say this. I've been saying this all day in the office. When Breece Hall plays, the Jets are 6-0. 6-2, excuse me. So, like, if he plays and he runs and he stays healthy, the Jets are a good team. Obviously, Zach Wilson's a problem, a real problem. But we have enough running. You know, Dalvin Cook, got Garrett Wilson. That defense is solid. It's legit. It's eventually great. I'm not burying this season yet. I'm not gonna go into full grief mode. I'm not gonna do it.
They need to win two of their next 5 games. They need to go 2-3 over their next 5 to make me believe a little bit. Tough next schedule, but
next game is against the Cowboys in Dallas. That's probably an L. But then we got New England, and I know Belichick, all that shit. I think we can win that game. I know we have to win that game.
I agree. Then you got to win the Broncos game. You do that, then you're 3-3.
Yep. See, we're on the same page right there. That's Jets optimism right there, Carl. Your team, meanwhile, is just your team's a trash bag. There's no helping you guys.
Can't lose the Broncos game. I've been saying that all fucking offseason. Vinny, welcome to the show. This is a great little transition here, and it's super negative because Rodgers went down early. You are in the middle of rehabbing yourself through a season-ending surgery. For the outsiders who don't know shit, you have a torn labrum. What does that mean?
I don't really know what it means either, other than a lot of pain and couldn't do my job to the best of my ability. That's all I really know about it. But I don't know when this podcast is going out, but tomorrow I'll be 12 weeks out of surgery, which means I can start getting into the weight room and I can start pushing myself a little bit more than I have. So I've lost some weight during this period. I'll stand up. See if you can see.
If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. Vinny's very fit, thin. That's a good white tee, crew neck.
Oh, yeah. I also learned during this rehab that I'm a white T-shirt guy. I've got 8 of them now, and I just kind of rock them all the time. They're good. You can see my chains through my shirt if I don't have them out, which is what I like. I look more Italian with the plain white tees, but yeah, shoulders coming along good. I can lift my arm above my head without too much problem. We're back to swinging in 4 weeks, and we'll see what happens.
So it's non-throwing shoulder. It's your right shoulder?
Non-throwing shoulder, that's right.
Okay, so as a first baseman, would you rather have it be right shoulder or left shoulder? Like, does it make a difference if you could go to DH faster with the rehab process? Is it better off to be your right shoulder?
I think so, yeah. And it's good. It's allowed me to prep my left arm for when I throw so that I can try to get out of the bottom five of throwing velocity. That'd be good.
You're a horrible thrower.
Yeah.
You're straight up one of the worst throwers in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, but we're working on it. So we're working on some arm patterning, getting with some pitching coaches, locking some things in. We'll see what happens.
Vinny, like, how does it work? Like, you're told, hey, your labrum is fucked. You got to go in and get surgery. Like, how does that process happen? How does that feel emotionally because you spend all offseason getting ready for the season. You played like a third of the season, and then all of a sudden you got to shut it down. It's got to be so disheartening.
Well, in this specific case, we knew what we were dealing with. We weren't surprised when we got the MRI this year because we got an MRI last year. I had a little incident and it showed up then too, but we decided to go with the conservative care route and physical therapy and strengthen up the shoulder. And it got me through the end of last season. And then it got me through the first 2.5 months of this year before it went. We thought we'd be able to manage it and get it into a really good spot, and it just didn't work the way that we wanted it to. And it was time to just get it fixed. And we went and got it fixed, and we're here now. And I get to fully say that I'm going into camp in the best shape of my life next year, which I'm really excited about to use that all off season.
Yeah, because
that's a great quote. If you get a chance to pull that quote out earlier in your career, like I understand late 30s, but what are you now?
25. We'll be 26.
Perfect time to pull that.
So you've never played a major league game really completely healthy. You sound like the labrum stuff has been an issue for the last 2 years. Is that right?
Yeah, you could say. We don't really know when exactly it happened. There was a specific incident against the White Sox where it kind of went downhill last year. But then we got it into a really good spot. So I have no regrets about what we did because I have full trust in our medical department and everybody there that we made the right decision, and it just didn't work out the way that we were hoping it would. And now we go into next year healthier than I have been the past 2 years, and I'm really excited about it.
Is it? Be honest, because I know it would be easy to be tough right now, but can you be vulnerable and is it lonely?
Oh, yeah. Unbelievably. I mean, Ryan and I have gotten so close during this rehab process. We're both so tired of each other right now. We've never spent so much time. Ryan's my fiance for anybody who doesn't know, but we're so tired of each other. It's ridiculous. She wants me out of this house so badly. I go in, I get my rehab done, I come home, and we just hang out the rest of the day. And that is not something we've been used to the past few years. So yeah, she's ready for me to get back on the field so she can have some alone time again because she's definitely tired of me. And then, yeah, it's real lonely because you get used to hanging out with all your friends every day and competing. And then it just goes away. And now all of a sudden you're in rehab, and then you got to try to stay out of the way of everybody. So you're just kind of on your own island.
The Royals are obviously struggling this year. Is it harder, you think, to be away from a team that's struggling, being like, oh, I wish I could help them. I want, trying to avoid, last place or trying to avoid those things. Or you think it's harder to be away from a team that's competing for a playoff spot and you feel like, oh, I'm missing out on that?
Yeah, I think it could go both ways, where if you're losing, you want to be out there helping your guys win, but then if you're winning, you want to be out there winning. So I think you can spin it to both of those answers could be kind of the same, just because you'll watch the game and be pissed off if you're losing, thinking you could help, but then if you're winning, you're kind of pissed off too because you want to be out there also winning. So it's been weird. I've been a part of a few walk-offs now where I've just been in the dugout and I try not to celebrate too much because being injured, but it's definitely interesting going out for the visit at home plate where everybody's jumping around, but you're trying to stay away from everybody so you don't get hurt.
Is there some sort of reflection on I gotta pause because I want to ask this question correctly. Okay, so something I talked to Klemmer a lot about is like the difference between good and great and average and good is really not that much in the big leagues because everybody's so fucking talented. So, in your experience now that you've played with Greinke, you played with Salvi, obviously Bob Witt's fucking Bobby Witt. Like, could you frame this appropriately? What is the difference between being very good at this game and just an everyday regular big leaguer from your early perspectives in the league?
Oh, there's just so many different ways to be successful. You've got guys that are offensive specialists. You've got guys that are defensive specialists. You've got guys that are a little in between. You've got guys that hit a bunch of homers and don't get on base. You've got a bunch of guys who get on base but don't hit homers. Like, it's real interesting. Like, when you look at what makes a player good nowadays, I'd look at it as just simple consistency. Who can show up every day and give themselves the best chance? It's the guy who's there every day. You can count on him to get on base once or twice every night. Somebody that's hopefully, like, I try to not look into hot and cold streaks because I just consider, you're either good or you're bad. That's how I try to look at it at the given time, not necessarily hot or cold, but it's just those guys that go out there every day. And one, everybody's playing through stuff. So it's the guys that are pushing their body to get out onto the field every day. And then two, the guys who find a way to make something happen on really any given night.
I think that's really interesting because I was watching, like, for instance, Travis d'Arnaud. He recently got 10 years service time this year. And the Braves made a big deal about it, which they should. That's a pretty remarkable accomplishment for any major leaguer to stay 10 years. It's hard to do anything for 10 years, much less play Major League Baseball. And they gave him like a really cool chest protector, had all of his teams on. It was just like they had a nice little celebration for him. It was cool. And like I think about that, it's like it's easy to look at like the Mike Trouts or pick your superstar, Bryce Harper. It's like, oh yeah, obviously that guy's gonna get 10 years service time. But it's like really impressive for me, like these guys that are good or even like above average guys that have these long careers. I've always, even when I was a kid, I used to be just really interested in guys that played forever. Like Chris Spire was a guy when I was a kid. He played in the 70s. He played a 20-year career. He was never like super great, but it's like that's a remarkable amount of time to not get healthy or to play through stuff like you said, and also just like to go out there every day. And like that's pretty admirable, I think.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a backhanded compliment, but when there's certain guys around the league that you're like, wait, that guy has how many years? And it's like disrespectful on surface because it's like respect the fact that a guy's been in the big leagues for 8 years or so, but then it's like, that's kind of how you want to be. Is I had to grind to get here. I wasn't supposed to be here. And it's nothing to take away from the guys that are great from day one or like high first round picks. Like those guys are great in their own right, but like they're kind of supposed to do that. If you take a first round pick on a guy, you're counting on him to help you. Once you get past like the third round, it's a crapshoot anyway. So like, it's just crazy to see. Like we just had a guy tonight for the Royals. His name's Logan Porter, who just got called up. The guy was a clubhouse. Like he was a clubby for the Royals, and
he got called up.
Yeah, he got a hit tonight. His first at bat.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah,
this is one of the best stories in baseball. I'm sorry to jump the gun and get so excited. This is one of my favorite stories of all time.
Yeah, one of the best stories. Like he was a clubby. A catcher got hurt. I believe I might be butchering the story, but either a catcher or a first baseman got hurt, and he was helping in the clubhouse, but they knew he played, so sometimes he'd catch bullpens. Somebody got hurt, and they said, hey, can you just play first base for us in rookie ball? And he did, and he ended up hitting like over 300, did rookie ball, and he got a bunch of play, and then they signed him. Went to rookie ball the next year, was the best hitter in the league by far. Like WRC plus wise, I think he was at 201, and the next best guy was at like a 153. Wow. So like he was just ridiculous, and then just slowly, continuously hit everywhere he went. Like was in AAA all this year, and then he caught his break today. Gets a hit in his first at bat. It's crazy.
That's a great story. That's incredible. That just doesn't happen.
It just doesn't happen. Exactly. Like it's crazy, and he's one of the best dudes. Like he's been through everything, and now like for the rest of his life, he's a big leaguer, and that's super meaningful.
Are you an underdog?
I mean, depends on what you want to say. Probably, yeah.
In the context of the game, when you tell a story like that, you're not an underdog. But when you think about top 100 prospects and you think about top picks and stuff, you are an underdog. Do you carry like a chip when you go to the field as kind of think a good way to think about it then.
Yeah, I try to, because I think if I ever lose that chip, then I'm fucked. Like if I ever play without a chip on my shoulder, then I'm probably not going to play that well, because I need motivation to keep going, because I've always felt like if you think that you've made it, then you're never going to go anywhere. So for me, it's just like find a way to, whether it's make it personal with a pitcher or something like that. Like right now, I'm making it real personal with my first base glove, and we're working. So like that's what I'm attacking at this current moment, because it's one thing I'm allowed to attack. So for me, yeah, I always try to put the chip on my shoulder and make it used wisely for me to be successful.
You're in this weird group of guys that came up during kind of COVID. Like you were in the minors during COVID, so you missed a year there. And now you're hurt this year. You missed half the year this season. It must be oddly frustrating. It must be like I said. Like I always think about like the guy 30 years from now, the baseball nerd like me, that's going to look at your records, look at your stat lines, go to Baseball Reference, look around, and try to like figure out exactly what's going on. I'm really excited. I'm sure you're just dying to have one full season of majors. Like, give me 550 at bats, give me 600 plate appearances, and let's see what I can do. It must, between COVID and this, it just must be so frustrating.
Yeah, it's interesting, because you want to hope going into your third season, second full year into the big leagues, that you've kind of tried to establish yourself and who you are, but I can't say that because I haven't played enough. I think I've played pretty well, but I haven't done enough to, be all in that this is going to go for 17 years like I want it to. So for me, like, yeah, that's really important. Like playing 100 and being available for 162 games is super important to me, which is why this has been frustrating with it being the same injury. Like that's almost more frustrating, because it's like, it's the same thing. So it's not like different things are going on. But yeah, like next year, I'm super excited to attack 162 games and, see what comes from it. So I'm really excited it's just ridiculous how excited I am to get back on the field.
Yeah, you guys are obviously in a rebuilding situation. Like the Royals' win-loss record is terrible. It's not good. So what are your expectations, or what are your hopes for next year for the team? Like you do have some guys that are like Bobby Witt Jr. is awesome. Like he's exceptional. He keeps getting better. Like some of these guys are getting better and better. Like what do you it's so hard because so much is out of your control. But like, what do you, in the offseason, like what is a player like yourself? Like what do you look at for next year? Like what are you trying to get from a win-loss or a team perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a real answer to that, because the expectation is to win. I mean, that's it. Like it's kind of just like the expectation is to win, cut off, because that's what we're here to do. Like, yes, technically, especially from the outside, you could call it a rebuild, but we're not looking at it as a rebuild from the inside. We're looking at it as an opportunity to be on a winning team. And right now that's not what's happening, but it doesn't mean that that's not how we're looking at it. For us, we're doing everything we can to just win that day and get to the next day. There's no real other way to do it. Like that's what we expect to do, is go win. So when it doesn't happen, it pisses everybody off, as it should in my mind.
That makes sense. Like a player is going to have a different perspective than a fan or someone or the GM, or like from my perspective, I'm a Mets fan and we're having a rough year, and it's frustrating. But you're looking at the pieces coming up and you have kind of plans or expectations or what you want in your head. We just got a new GM today, or a new director of baseball development of David Stern. So I'm excited about that. But I guess as a player, you really can only control what's in front of you that day. And that's all you can really focus on, I imagine.
Yeah, it's weird because when you go into kind of thinking about it from the outside, you'll look at more analytical data to show different things or trends or whatever about players. But as a player, that shit does not matter at all. It matters long-term because the analytics are used for over 162, what's going to give you the best odds to win the most games. But on any given night, it doesn't matter. If I suck against a certain pitcher, I can still get him at any given time. The same way, if I'm really good against a guy, he can get me at any given time. So, yeah, I don't give a shit about the odds at all, because when I step up into the box, I'm ready to roll no matter who's pitching. It doesn't matter, and I would expect every hitter to feel the same way. Sometimes if you have more success or more failure against a certain guy, but it's baseball. I could hit one 40 miles an hour and I get a hit, or I could hit one 110 and I'm out. Whereas everybody looks at exit velocity and different batted ball data to show different trends, but it doesn't matter when you're playing, because if that does matter to you, you're going to get so wrapped up in expected data or stuff like that you're not going to allow yourself to perform at your best. So for me, it's just the only way I can perform at my best is if I'm taking it one at bat at a time. It sounds really simple, and it's hard to do when you're in the moment too, because sometimes when you line out, it's about the most frustrating thing in the world. Because then the next guy normally gets a blooper, and then that kind of makes you a little bit more mad too, because it's like, how come he got that and I couldn't? But it's a really funny game. But for me, that's the mindset that it's just like, fuck the odds. Like, I'm coming to get you.
What's the difference between squaring it up and just missing it? I saw you in the World Baseball Classic throw your bat a couple times because you just missed a couple. You were real hot. What is that? How small is the difference between just missing it and getting it in the sweet spot?
Enough to piss a guy off really bad. It's literally this. It's tiny of a difference between a ball going 440 feet to flying out to the center fielder and being mad at the world. It's just crazy. Or sometimes you think you square one up. That's what makes me more mad. I hit a ball at Fenway last year to left field that I thought for sure was going off the monster, and a guy caught it right at the wall. Found out it didn't hit it hard at all, but in my mind, I was like, I just smacked that baseball. And then rude awakening as I come back to the dugout and I find out I didn't even hit it hard. But yeah.
Did that change your approach when you saw the monster for the first time at all? Where you're like, oh, maybe I could sit back a little bit more? Is it that visually stunning as a hitter?
It's definitely visually stunning. One thing that I'm happy I did, but I wish it's a weird thing. And especially when you're in your first year, is like, I tried to appreciate where I was all the time. So sometimes I'd let like stuff like that get to me a little bit. Let's be like, oh my God, that's the green monster right there. Like different things like that, where it's like, I still got to do my job and not worry about stuff like that. Like, so to answer your question directly, no, because if I did that, I'd be screwed. If I tried to like fillet the ball over there just because I could, wherever the pitch is, I'm going to try to drive it wherever it's pitched.
Do you have a favorite? We had Zach Allen on Pick Central this week, and we're asking him, what's your favorite city to go to? Carl, he said he was going to Chicago. But like, do you have a favorite city? Not even to play in, but you just have a favorite city, like you and the guys that's like travel to, maybe a favorite restaurant or something like that.
My homer answer is New York, just because I love New York. It's so gross, but it's so great at the same time. I saw a guy eating cat food and popcorn mixed, and he was eating it with a spoon on the subway.
That was Marty Bush.
But Toronto's great. I think Toronto's my favorite city. I loved it up there, other than going through customs, which is fine. But, when you fly in and it's late, it's like, now I got to go through customs. I don't know how they do that. Like, if you play in Toronto, I don't know how they do that every single time they got to go back. I get it. But, yeah, Toronto is great. So those would be my two answers.
Anything you hate going to? Any place you're like, fuck?
I'm not going to say it out loud, but the Royals are playing there right now.
Okay. So a little opposite than Zach there on that one.
No, the city's great. Love the city.
Okay. Just the stadium?
Yeah, I don't perform all that well at guaranteed rate at this moment. Just through like 8 games or so. I think it's like 2 hits. And Kopech's got me a bunch of times. Giolito got me a bunch of times. So yeah, that's what I'm really focusing on this offseason too, is how I'm going to do a lot of visual training of guaranteed rate field and just really work on it.
Can we talk for a second about like evolution of pitch strategies? And right now in the game, would you say cutter, slider, sinker, 4-seam elevated at the top of the zone? Like, what's the big trend that you see power pitchers come in, or how would you frame like a general power pitcher in Major League Baseball today?
Well, not necessarily for power pitchers, but the new sexy pitch is the sweeper. Not that it's that new, but guys are finding they can get so much break on it that it's just hard as a hitter, even though it seems like some of the data I've seen is the sweeper actually gets hit a lot when it's in the zone. But when it's outside the zone, it's pretty effective. But then the cutter is the pitch that everybody's starting to throw now too, just because it's so hard to try to game plan for a cutter because you don't know what it's going to do all the time. Trying to think, it feels like I've been away for so long that I don't have a good grip on like I've seen games, I watch the games every day, but like not being in the box makes it hard because baseball's so easy on TV. I've also decided that next year I'm never going to swing at a ball and I'm never going to swing and miss.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's just from watching the games. I'm just thinking, why are you swinging that pitch? That was a ball, So that's my my biggest game plan for next year is never swing and miss and never swing a ball.
It's funny how shit comes back. Like, so like in the like 90s, like late 90s when Mariano was having all success with the cutter, like people were throwing it a lot more. And I feel like some pitches kind of like have that. We saw with the split finger fastball. Like in the 80s, everyone was throwing it because Bruce Sutter had like honestly invented it, but he got everyone doing it. And then in the 90s, dropped off. And it had a little resurgence about 10 years ago. I think we're seeing that with the cutter. I feel like you're seeing it a lot more than we did even like 5-10 years ago.
Same with the splitter too. Guys are maneuvering spin in such a different way, not in a different way. That's what's funny about baseball. It's a circle, like you were just saying. Like the biggest example I use of that is guys used to move in the batter's box based off of what pitches were being thrown. Like I'm talking like Pete Rose would move a lot in the batter's box. And then there became a time period where guys would stay in the same spot because they felt like they were more effective. But then as more data has come out, guys are now moving in the box again because they're showing, okay, if a guy's got an elite changeup or an elite sinker, you should move him from the box to be able to go get it instead of letting it get you, because by the time, if you're in the back of the box, you're not going to be able to get to it. So our new age analytical hitters are doing the same thing our very old school hitters are doing, but they're doing it for different reasons, but it's the same reason, which is really funny. So two styles of hitters that would hate each other are doing the exact same thing. Like I love it. Like four-seam fastballs got real, like the York fastballs got real sexy for a minute, and now sinkers are coming back. Like guys are putting more spin on it, throwing cutters, throwing splitters, taking away spin. Like what guys are able to do now from a pitching standpoint with some of these labs that all these teams have now, it's just crazy how guys are able to maneuver their arms and get different action on different pitches.
Do you think the pitch clock is fighting against pitchers' dominance and putting them more in a spot where like they've got to get into a rhythm and pitch to contact as opposed to being able to walk around, huff and puff, collect yourself and chase strikeouts? Has that been an element of difference at all this year?
Yeah, I don't know what the data is on strikeouts this year. Like, I don't know if they're up or down or whatever it is. I just think it makes the game more efficient, the pitch clock. I don't know if it necessarily messes with one either hitter or pitcher. I just think it keeps everybody in a rhythm. So, like, in that way, I do think it could, like, depending on who you are, I think it can help or hurt you. Like, if you're a pitcher that is rolling and you're in a rhythm, that helps you. But if you're a pitcher that likes to take your time, I can see how it could really mess with you. But I love the pitch clock. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. I can only imagine as a fan. I guess it's probably way better too.
I have a question about. I'm a big baseball history nerd, and the Royals, in my opinion, have a really unique and interesting franchise history. So if you're looking at them, and you mentioned it earlier, it's why I want to bring it up. Like you mentioned, like the 14 and 15, especially the 15s, and then you have the 85 team. Like do you ever think about it? Like if you guys ever did win, like you win a World Series, you're going to be remembered forever in Kansas City. Like you'll never to buy a beer in that city ever again. Like people still talk about Frank White there. And like you said, they're talking about Wade Davis until, I'm dead and buried. They'll talk about him. Like if you make it as a Royal and win a title, you are immortal. Does that ever do you ever think about shit like that?
Yeah, all the time, actually, of just how this place is a baseball town. It wants to be a baseball town so bad. We just have to let them, essentially. I look at it as it's kind of our fault if the stadium's not sold out or if there's not a lot of people there. Like that's on us. We should play better. Don't like it, play better. You know what I'm saying? If we're winning more people are gonna want to go. I mean, in 14 and 15, they had like the full 9 make it to the All-Star game. Like they changed the rules on how you had to vote for the All-Star game because they love their players so much. So for me, like I love this place. I'm very, very happy here. The fans take such good care of us. Like they love coming to games. They're unbelievably supportive. And yeah, like if you could do some damage here, I mean, this is one of those places where it's just like they just want to be a baseball town so bad.
If I was a player, and Carl, try to know this too, I think, but like I would love kind of where you're at. Like I'd love to get in the ground floor or something. Like so, like I'd want to be on that team, maybe my rookie or second year, like you, that lose 100 games. But then if I'm there for when they do, like Altuve, like he was in the Astros when they were horrible, and then he got to see them. He's won 2 rings. That must be so rewarding to like be there for the whole ride, journey up. That to me would be, as a fan, I love that, and I must imagine a player, that would be the coolest thing.
Yeah, if you're able to kind of go through the shit, so to speak, and then come out the other side, like that would be, I mean, essentially dream come true, right? You get to you see it through fruition, which is what we all want. because it's not going the way we want right now. So if we can get it to where we want it to be, like it'll all be for the best at that point. It's just being able to go through all of that to be able to get to the pinnacle of the sport. It would just be incredible.
How many guys on your team have a ring? Salvi, does Greinke have one?
Yes, I think he got one with Houston, right? Or did
I don't
he?
think so. I don't think he has one.
No. Yeah, maybe he doesn't have one.
He went there with the Dodgers, I think.
Trying to think around the locker room. There's probably somebody that has one.
You know who's got one? Matt Duffy has one.
I should have known that. Matt Duffy does have one. That's a really good point. Yeah, Matt Duffy's got one. Matt Beatty has one.
Beatty has a ring. I was going to say Duffy brings us full circle to the respect of guys that get 10 plus years service time.
Yeah,
go out there grinding everyday job. A real cerebral kind man. Not a lot of power.
The guy hit 0 home runs in college. Like what? He hit 0 home runs in college, and he's got like 20 something in the big leagues. That's insane.
Let me ask you this: did you guys play the Braves this year? You guys get a chance to play the Braves? How much better are they than other teams of baseball?
They're very good. They're a very good team. We played them super early though, so hard to say. Just because, like, if you were to ask me who the best player in the league this year, based off of who I saw play, I would say Matt Chapman, because we played him like the second series of the year, and I think he hit like 900 against us, and it was just stupid. So, but we played Atlanta so early. They probably have a whole new, not necessarily new, but new guys pitching that we didn't see. They probably, and I guess it's the same lineup for the most part, and they were dialed in. Olsen and Riley went back to back against us. And Nicky Lopez is now there. So
yeah, that's right. And yeah, he had a great game in Citi Field. I mean, and that's a great guy to have on those teams. Like you have him on the bench, and you have him like a utility guy. He's perfect for that.
If you need a guy to go in and go play Gold Glove defense at any given time at pretty much 4 different positions now, he can go do it. Whatever you need. If you need a quality at bat at the plate, there's your guy. And if he's your 4th infielder or your 5th infielder, you're in a really good spot as a team where if that's your guy that you're plugging in, if that's your guy giving other guys off days, even though they don't do that a whole lot in Atlanta, but like if that's your guy, I mean, what an unbelievable spot for him to be in, especially with how much of a clubhouse guy he is. I can only imagine he made that team better just from showing up.
Be honest, were you mad when he left? Be honest, were you mad when he got traded?
No, I was pumped for him. That's kind of how it was sad. We were all sad to lose like a good, just a good dude. But for him to be able to go chase down a ring, nobody could be more happier than us. Like, we're really excited for that.
As a fan, though, it's wild watching a guy like that because he can do everything. Like, it's funny, I saw him pitch a scoreless inning against the Mets in the 22-3 game or 21-3 game. He went in, he walked one guy, didn't even give it a hit. You're like, what the fuck? Is there anything this guy can't do defensively or, on the defensive side of things? Jesus.
And he's just super relatable. No offense to him, but he's smaller. Like, people can watch him and be like, that guy, I can relate to that guy. He's not a physical freak. He's just like a good baseball player, and good baseball players are fun to watch.
But then, like, what's the difference between him and then like your average minor league AA guy trying to be Nicky Lopez? Like, what allows him to be Nicky Lopez in the big leagues every year?
It kind of goes back to what you asked before, the difference between great, good, average. It's just his consistency. It's who he is every day. If he changed who he was in the clubhouse based off of how much playing time he was getting, how well he was playing, or anything like that, he would never have made it. But because of how consistent he is just as a guy, like as a dude, that allows him to maximize his talent to be a big leaguer for a very long time, and he's going to have a really good career. He's already had a really good career, and it's just going to keep going from here.
What's the most underrated thing about the big leagues?
Underrated. Wow. Most underrated thing. You can get like clubhouse guys to like go up to the concession stand and get you food if you want, which is kind of cool. We have really cool spreads, but sometimes you just want a hot dog. That's happened to me twice in the big leagues. That was really cool. And it was like dog day in Cleveland one time, and one of the guys went up and got me 2 hot dogs, which was just incredible. Trying to think of.
You got to pay for those, or how does that work?
What? Yeah. You gotta pay. Trying to think of what else would be like underrated because everything is so cool. I don't know. Everything's cool. Seeing the insides of stadiums is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
What's the hardest pitch, singular pitch you have faced in the big leagues where you were like, what the fuck was that?
Good question. Ooh. I've taken a lot of bad swings in my life. God. This makes no sense because it was 86 and I make fun of him about it all the time, but like Ryan Yarborough's fastball, I just could not see. I just couldn't see it. It was one of those pitches for me. Like the easy answer would be Shohei's splitter because I had no shot against it. But like I think my fun answer would be Ryan Yarborough's fastball because you just can't see the thing. It's just not fair. You cannot see it. And if you can't see it, how can I hit it?
Is it hard to see in the Trop? Because I've been there a bunch as a fan, and it's super dark. And I'm like, how is that different than hitting in day game or something?
I don't know. Hard to say just because we only play there once a year, so it's only 3 games. But yeah, I can't really remember.
All right, probably not then. If it didn't ring out to you,
yeah,
probably isn't.
Do you wear a cup?
All the time. Yeah.
Do most big leaguers wear a cup?
No. Older guys do, but younger guys, my hands are so good. Why would I need a cup if my hands are good? Because of bad hop, or I always tell my guys, like, Massey, you throw the ball in the dirt. Like, I need to protect myself because you can't throw the ball to me.
You wear a cup, Carl?
Only on the bicycle trails. Some people come around these corners way too hot. I'm trying to get a bun in my old lady's oven, so these boys go off. Last thing, Zach Greinke story. I need one safe.
No, I'm not. You know that I'm not telling the story about it.
Come on.
I don't. I won't do
or
it.
just say a nice story. Just say.
Yes.
I just need someone to say publicly that they were like in a room with Zach Greinke and he did something funny. Like, I don't need juicy shit, anything. I just need like, does he hit good fungos?
Yeah, he's a gem. Like, he's just the best. He's very into fantasy football. That's where I'll go. Is he tries to trade in our fantasy football league literally every single day. And I'm not joking. Every single day. I think that's what the guy does. So yeah, that's the only place I'm going with
story. This is more a story for you, but like, how cool is it to go to the work every day and know you're playing with the Hall of Famer?
Yeah, it took me forever to kind of get used to it. But now it's just like, we're just at work. Like, it's a weird dynamic where you kind of go in and it takes a little bit of time to realize, oh yeah, I need to do my job too as you're doing your job. Like, it's really, really cool. I probably won't appreciate it as much as I should until I'm done playing. Cause right now we're all just so laser focused on like what our job is that day.
Will you come back and help us preview the playoffs?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm locked.
Because what I would like to do is work through a format where like we come up with the questions we can answer and we need to go to a big leaguer. We need some insight.
Yeah.
If it's
that's cool.
Nuanced stuff with the bullpen. I don't want to take up too. You're rehabbing. You have to go to rehab tomorrow morning. I feel so bad for you, man. I'm sorry.
Now, right? That's pretty good.
I'm just living.
Vinny, thank you very much for joining the show. Good luck to the Jets and everybody.
I had a blast.
Yeah, everybody's watching.
Thanks for having me. My energy is just lower because it's just a sad day in Jets country today.
I'm emotionally exhausted.
I didn't sleep last night, Clem. I didn't. Like, it was a tough night.
I didn't go to bed at like 2:30. Like, I was like, the win was so exciting, and then you're all like revved up, and then you can't sleep, and then you start thinking about now we have Zach Wilson, and then I spent all night thinking about like Marcus Mariota and like other possibilities. That's kind of where I am right now. But like I said, 6-2 in Brees Hall plays. Let's go. I'm ready.
Yeah. Running backs, they're valuable. We'll see if they pay them in 2 years.
Do we have a Jets podcast?
We don't officially, no.
I'll produce it. I'll produce the first 4 episodes. If you and Vinny do it and you find a third person, I'll record and edit and run the back end and send you guys the deliverables. I'm not fucking joking. I'll do it.
I talked to Kevin about it, and yeah, now with Rodgers being out though, it's like, I don't know if we're gonna have I think we would have had a bigger audience with Rodgers, so it's like, I don't know. But no, well, I'll think about it. Vinny, if you're game,
I'm in.
there we go. All right,
I'm in.
let's go.